What's good, everybody? It's your boy O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode here on the channel. And make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell. We got a really great guest again. I'll let him introduce himself with the Mortal Kombat rating hat on.
What's up, everybody? This is your boy. You know me. Pan-Africanism Strikes Back. Here with my boy O'Shea Duke Jackson. Thank you for watching. And O'Shea, as always, thank you for having me on.
All right, and today, like I said, I'm a big a fan of your daily strong react streams that you always have. Strong react, and sometimes when I can listen to it. I do. You got a lot of interesting people that come by. Doc Measy comes by over there a lot, and you have some pretty unorthodox opinions about the black community that are not. That are atypical, rather, I would say, and you made a strong case about, the black community needs to stop blaming the Hispanic community for their success and how they have infiltrated the black America. You talked about certain things. I kind of just do a summation, about how black men don't want to be in the skilled labor anymore, the sheetrocking and concrete, and then when you give a brother a job, they're late. They don't want to do the work. They're overcharging. The Hispanics are doing a better job at those things. Brothers are more interested in going to school for things that don't actually have any skills and things like that. And a lot of people were triggered in the comments of that live. But why do you say that? Because a lot of our people believe that it is the Hispanics that are kicking blacks out of the South Central, out of the Comptons, especially us from California, the Long Beaches of the world. Well, how did you come to that realization?
Well, O'Shea, it's easy to see it, for the people who want to see it. And I even think the people who try to deny the reality, they even see it. But, black people, we have this affinity for victimization. Victimhood appeals to us. We think there's some type of moral victory in just being a victim. But the reason why they're able to kick us out and able to essentially take our place is because they are more focused on being self-sufficient. They're more focused on doing for self than they are focused on fighting for these different rights and things that we believe we're going to be able to obtain by begging, Caucasians or Europeans who run the government systems in America. We think we're going to be able to get things by begging them for it, as opposed to just working for it or making ourselves valuable, right? When we were slaves, we had value. And it's no coincidence that right after slavery, during industrialization and Reconstruction, is when you saw black people make the majority of their progress, because we were still valuable. Once slavery ended, the majority of the skilled laborers, carpenters, glass makers, people who fix wagons, wagon wheels, horse trainers, all that were black, because the slaves, they were experts in these fields because they were required to do these things during slavery for free. So once it got to the point where we were freed from slavery, white people still depended on that same labor force of skilled laborers to do those jobs. So we were dominating the labor markets during the time of Reconstruction and industrialization. But and what you saw was people like Booker T. Washington rose up, one of my favorite black brothers in history. He encouraged black people to develop and learn skills that people were willing to pay you for.
Absolutely.
Right? And you saw us, you couldn't get a job in a lot of these major cities. A white man couldn't even be a construction worker back in the 1800s. A white man couldn't even be, a shoe repair person or anything like that, because black people were dominating these industries. But as time went on, basically the white man, he was able to convince black people that we no longer needed to develop the skills that someone would pay us for. All we needed was these pieces of paper known as degrees, right? Which represented our intellectual value. And the problem with that was, once we entered into that realm, Well, these Caucasians were then able to compete with us. So as we went more towards the intellectual route and wanted to be lawyers and doctors and stuff like that, the white man started to take over through unionizing. He was able to take over the skilled labor industries. So basically, he gave us a new goal, which we live in America, dominated by the power of influence. So another race dictates to us what's valuable, right? So he set something else as the new standard. We went right on into that, and as we vacated those skilled labor jobs, the white man moved in and unionized. And in 2021, we've seen as the Mexican or come in, he has actually begun to actually replace the white man as the primary source of skilled labor in the United States. So he's not even replacing us. He's actually replacing the white men and the few remaining black skilled laborers.
You know, I grew up partly in Los Angeles in the late 80s. I'm a little bit older than you, but you can also remember you made a strong point that, you know, in the 80s and obviously I would assume in the 70s, I wasn't born at that time, but living in Watts on 112th Street, East 112th Street, I can remember the black brothers that could do sheetrock and stucco and roofs and things like that. And I remember the Hispanics, obviously they were in Los Angeles in the 80s, but, you know, by the time the 90s came in, I started hearing people all across California, blacks, when they would want to get things done from contractors, and still relatively, because, you know, in California, we don't have a whole lot of blacks in California, but if you're in Leimert Park, if you're in certain parts of Long Beach, if you're in certain parts of Compton, you know, Inglewood, up to no good, you know, you're going to see a lot of blacks there, at that, especially at that time. I would hear the complaints that, you know what, when we give blacks these jobs, they take their time. They do good work, some of them, but they're too expensive. They're playing around. I've heard that from Brother George Macon out in Philadelphia. But if you give those jobs to the Hispanics, they're quick, they're fast, they're reasonable, they're courteous, and they're more professionals. And I start seeing a lot of blacks, even, you know, with black churches, repairs, they wasn't going to black contractors. They could go to the Mexicans because the Hispanics were doing. Why did that happen?
Well, if you were alive in the 1980s and 1990s in Los Angeles, you 90% of the people who did drywall in these labor jobs were black. And a person who could do drywall, a black man who could do drywall in 1980s Los Angeles was making something like $15 or $16 an hour, right? When the minimum wage was like $3.75. So he was making a very good money. And you would be hard pressed to find a drywall person or a skilled laborer who wasn't black. But as time went on, black people stopped seeing the value in having nation building skills. These things are called nation building skills. Knowing how to set up a plumbing system, learning how to build an electrical grid and wire electricity from house to house going down the block, knowing how to put up a telephone pole and put up the lines of communication between houses and cities and stuff like that. Knowing how to build a road, right? These are nation building skills. These are skills that are crucial to the daily operations of any nation, right? We stopped looking for those things. You come to Los Angeles in the 80s, all these liquor stores and stuff that you see Cambodians and Mexicans, Asians owning now, those were black owned. Those were black owned. But what happened was all the people who had the nation building skills, all the people who were entrepreneurs who owned the different stores and things that reinforced the black economy, they did not raise their kids to value the family trade. They didn't raise their kids to say, hey, when my dad dies, or when I graduate from school or college or high school, I want to go back to my community and run that store that my father ran. My father just had a liquor store, but I want to turn this into a whole chain of supermarkets. That they didn't train their kids to do that. All they preached to their kids was get an education, so you can get a good job, right? A person who's an entrepreneur in the black community was training their kids to go out and work to get a job and go slave for somebody else. So you can get a good job and do what once you got that good job, O'Shea? move out of the black community.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
what happened. We did it
Yes.
to ourselves. I got something I'm sure. We did it to ourselves, right? And we can't blame anybody. The Mexican didn't come to your house and tell you, hey, Mr. Jenkins, you own a laundromat and a donut shop. What you need to do is train your kid, because you need to teach your kid to be a lawyer, right? So he can go work for some white guy's law firm. And then when you get too old to run this laundromat in this donut shop, you then go sell that business to somebody else. Cambodians, there's a lot of Cambodians in Long Beach.
Yes. Donut shop
Cambodians,
kings.
right, exactly. Cambodians did not land in America knowing how to make donuts, dog. I'm sorry. They didn't know how to make a jelly donut. How did they learn that? They were actually taught the skill by blacks and whites who owned those businesses before them, and then sold those businesses to them. Now they learned the skill and they expanded the business, right? Because we no longer saw the value in serving people food. We no longer saw the value in a cup of coffee and a donut in the morning, even though everybody wants this, everybody needs this. They've only increased in demand over the years. So basically, we vacated those positions willingly. We can't blame another race or anybody else. We vacated those positions willingly. You're a plumber by trade. You're making $200,000 a year, but you don't want your son to do nothing more than get an NFL contract. So much so that you never even taught him the basic skills of plumbing that you knew, that have fed you, fed him, clothed you, clothed him, built a house, maintained a home, a roof over your head. You didn't see the value. So we basically didn't even see the value in ourselves, O'Shea. That's what it was. We didn't see the value in ourselves. So we taught our children to go chase something, quote unquote, better than what we have. We want our kids to live better than us. I don't know about you, but being a plumber making $150,000 a year sounds real good to me. You know what I'm saying? Being a guy who's in construction or a carpenter, that sounds real good to me. But we vacated those positions. Mexican people who came from Mexico, things are a little bit worse over there. They came and they was like, wait a minute, bro, you don't want to be a plumber? And a plumber make how much in America? So they saw the value in it. So they entered into those fields of work, and now they dominate those fields. We love using the Negro stalling tactic of, they work for less money. Well, they used to work for less money. Now they dominate all the labor unions. They're making $50 and $60 an hour now. You can no longer use that as an excuse. I went to the emergency room a couple of months back, and my doctor was a Hispanic man, and he was only 27 years old, and said that his parents were immigrants. So they've not only taken over the trades, the skilled labor fields, they've taken it over and solidified their control over that, while at the same time promoting, this idea of higher education among their children. So while the son's a doctor, the dad is still a carpenter. And the 2 or 3 brothers who didn't want to go to school all that time, or who maybe the dad couldn't afford to send to school, he taught them the family trade. So they held on to the skilled labor positions, while black folks is still doing what? Education, education, education. We're not even trying to go back into those fields. There's very few of us who are doing that. We're either chasing education, which doesn't guarantee you a job, or we're chasing athletic scholarships and NFL contracts, or entertainment deals, 360 contracts as rappers and stuff like that. So we didn't see the value then, so we left it behind. And to this day, we still don't see the value in it. The European says, everyone needs to learn IT. Well, who's going to build the houses? Everyone needs to learn IT. So all of us want to get into coding. We want to get into computer programming. Now we all want to get into Bitcoin. Meanwhile, people still making millions upon millions of dollars every year building houses, unclogging toilets, doing drywall, doing handyman repairs in people's house. We still don't see the value of it. So every time we talk about what's hurting us and why we're not in different fields, all you need to do is just go right to the yellow pages, if that still exists, or go to Craigslist and look up handyman work and see the thousands of immigrants, Hispanics, and whatnot on there offering their services for handyman work, sheet metal, drywall, carpentry, and that proves that we are not being totally honest about why we are no longer involved in those fields. We complain about not having a bunch of things that we don't even want. We don't even see the value in, because we want computer programming, IT, coding. We want Bitcoin, where when we need to be getting back into those nation building skilled labor positions. So it just, you know what I'm trying to say.
It's interesting you said that. And any of the brothers watching this video right now, when you brought up a good point about the Cambodians and donuts, obviously, and they're also big time. Some of them big time gamblers also. I know what you're saying is true, because not only have I seen that in California, Hispanics and Chinese people and Asians have now started selling black soul food.
Yep.
So if anybody know, I know for a fact that black businesses that have went out, Chinese people have not only come in and bought those same restaurants, they selling you the same menus of the previous dead owner that the kid couldn't take. For example, there's a store called Jimmy's right on Grand Avenue in Sacramento, owned by Asians.
Grand High School.
Yes, you been there before?
I didn't eat there. I said I was passing through Sacktown, and I was like, man, I'm hungry. Oh, look at this soul food place. I went there and saw them Asians cooking that soul food. I just walked right out. That's just me, right? But they had a whole line full of Negroes lined up to buy it.
Yeah. Did you go to Poly? You go to Poly also?
I didn't go to Poly. I went to Cabrillo on the west side.
Okay, because Grand High School is where I went to.
Grand High School, right behind Grand High School, right next to the gas station. I think it's a little gas station or something right there.
Yeah. Grand High Schools, we beat Poly. My bad, happy companion for the state championship 2005. But we know we're not mad. We know y'all was mad. Y'all was mad about that. But anyways, so the Hispanics, and not only that, you have Asians that are coming in buying black barbershops, cutting black hair. We know about the Dominicans in New York. They're competing with not only black men but black women for beauty salons, black barbershops, especially in New York City. So a lot of these groups are coming into to black areas and selling the black populations, even the same thing. We even know about it here on YouTube, where you have, let's say, white podcast shows. DJ Vlad, what's the other guy's name? DJ Strange Eyes or something like that. Adam 22. We won't even get into the business here learning that skills. And we won't even do that. And then we have them, DJ Small Eyes. They'll come in and have platforms bigger than us in some of the things because we don't want to learn how to do the video editing. We don't want to learn how to have a production team. So then the white man or other groups come in the business and their platforms be bigger than ours.
Right.
Because we want to learn that skill.
Right. And the reality is that, once you have the foundation of controlling the different industries, the nation building industries, the carpentry and all that, then you have capital to then move into other markets. So the Mexican guy, there's one Mexican guy, I forgot his channel name, I'm not even gonna say it, but he does basically he's like a style coach, right? He's in this manosphere type thing for everybody else. That guy has more viewers, he has more subscribers than 10 black manosphere channels combined. And I think this channel's called Hey, it's Adrian, or just something random, right? And you know what I'm talking about. The guy gets on with a white t-shirt, just looks like an absolute nerd, but he's on there giving dating advice. Probably never even touched a girl in his life. But he's able to enter into this market with the top-notch equipment. But I bet you go to that dude's house, his dad is walking around in construction boots with paint chips all over his ankles because he's painting houses or doing something else. But with the money that he's bringing in from doing that, he's able to say, Poppy, I need to get this HD camera, and I want to do this and I want to do that. Now he has opportunities because his parents have invested in nation building occupations, nation building skills. So they will always have a way to feed them. And if he fails, guess what he has? he has a safety net to fall back on. At the end of the day, if I hit rock bottom, I could always go work with my dad. And
Right.
you know when we was young, the little Mexican kids, the Cambodians, yeah, man, I work at my dad's donut shop. The little Mexican, man, I go do roofing with my dad at the age of 15 and 16 years old. You brought up an interesting point. You were doing a video the other day. It was live. It was extremely entertaining. But you talked about how when it comes to summer jobs and stuff, the black man's son got to go to the Mexican, the white, the Asian to get a summer job. He can't even go to his own damn daddy to go get a little work, a little extra scratch during the summer, right? Because why? The daddy worked for somebody else.
Right.
And unless, son, you can put in an application. You know what I'm saying? You can lose all control, all autonomy. You can sell yourself into slavery to this white guy or this guy who employs me, but the black man has no skill that he can teach his son, where his son can always feed himself. And it goes back to the old cliche saying, if you give a man a fish, he eats for a day. But if you teach a man a fish, he'll eat for the rest of his life. We have nothing to offer our children where they can sustain themselves for the rest of their life, because everything that we think of as valuable has been dictated to us by another race of people. And if another race of people is able to dictate to you or define what is valuable to you, they will always highlight things that do not empower you in any way. They're not telling you, black man, go learn how to be a plumber. Black man, learn how to fix transmissions on a car. They're saying, no, black man, what you need to learn how to do is do IT. You need to learn how to do coding. And while at the same, he's telling you to go into coding and into technology, at the same time, he's telling you, oh man, technology is going to replace so many people's jobs. We're literally stuck on like dumb kind of. We're literally trying to run into a field where they're telling you in the next 5-10 years, you're going to be obsolete. But guess what? All the other races, they still selling these donuts. Starbucks is out here booming. The little Cambodian donut shop by my house is still selling coffee, making $100,000 a year off of coffee and the nasty ass donuts, right? See,
even during Corona.
Hey, we still don't see it, dog. We still don't get it. Wow. We're still not making the connection. You have to have a skill. Even if all you know how to do is fry up chicken, dog. If you fry it a certain way that where people like it more than anything else, you can make $1 million off it. Even if you selling hot dogs on the side of the road, you can make $40,000, $50,000 a year. We still don't make that connection because we're Dr. Amos Wilson. I always use this quote. Dr. Amos Wilson highlighted that we are ruled by the power of influence. We used to be ruled by the power of coercion, which is where somebody says, either you do what I say or I'm going to hurt you. I'm going to hang you. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to beat you. I'm going to lynch you. Now, African Americans are ruled by what's known as the power of influence. That's where another race determines what's valuable to you. And they literally set the standards for your happiness. They literally are, telling you, yo, this is what you need to be happy. So they're telling you, knowing how to build a house. So if you buy a piece of property, you don't got to pay $800,000 to put a house on it. Knowing how to build a house is of no value. What you need is a new Benz. What you need is the latest pair of Jordans. What you need is this $3,000 Balenciagas, these red bottoms, right? They're determining what's valuable to us. Therefore, and when they do that, they're always going to tell you what's valuable is the things that they create. What you need, and look, I sell sunflower seeds. Oh, you don't need a car. What you really need is these sunflower seeds. You don't need a house. What you really need, bro, is these sunflower seeds. These sunflower seeds is popping. This is what everybody's going out to buy right now. You see what I'm saying? So they'll always promote the things that they produce. And when they sucker you into buying what they produce, they then use the money that you give them to do what? To go out and purchase all the things that have real value, the tangible, the butter, the guns and butter, like Melvin talked about on Baby Boy. So we're just stuck there. We're letting another group of people determine what's valuable and what we need to make us happy.
Brother, you really laid this one down, man. I know it's going to be a lot of brothers that are going to have a problem in the comment section, as they always do.
With this, that just mean they dusty, O'Shea.
Right. So go ahead and tell them about your YouTube channels, brother, and what they can expect from coming over to your platforms.
everyone knows my main channel. Well, look, I'm not really anybody, but if you don't know, my main channel is Pan Africanism Strikes Back, spelled just the way it sounds, and there'll be a link. I'm sure O'Shea will throw a link in there for you guys. That's my main channel. Every morning I do the Pan African morning show. We get up around 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We play a little music. We have a good old time. We talk about the daily news, the things that are impacting our people, the media and news that's relevant to us. We crack jokes. We just have fun every morning. I really geared it to where people can listen to it when they're in their car. If they're at work, you can keep it on low so nobody can hear it if I say some racially incendiary words. But I really just geared towards our people so they can have a little daily dose of self-worth, sustainability. Just a little every day they can get a little bit of something that's about us, focused on us, for us, by us. My other channel is Ebony Outlier. That's my manosphere channel, my contribution to the manosphere, where I just try to bring a little balance to the force when it comes to these gender studies. Let's call them gender studies that we be involved in our community. Just trying to give my perspective of the perspective of someone who's actually been able to maintain a relationship for over a decade. I have children. I have a wife, and I feel that perspective is missing in our manosphere, and it's missing in our relationship community. So many people, they have channels that are dedicated to like this single life and what's wrong with the other gender. I want to give a little bit of perspective on, what is possible if you actually do find a woman or a man and y'all actually come together and build something, how to maintain that and keep moving forward. So, it's much needed in my opinion.
Okay, no problem, brother. And I definitely thank you for coming on, guys. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Go to the first comment pinned to the top. You will find Pan-Africanism Strikes Back and the Ebony Outlier YouTube channels there. Hit the bell and be notified. And as you know, the buffoonery remains at an all-time high. I'm out.